It is that time once again. Welcome one and all for yet another installment of the Monday Night Skippys here on RaceSpotTV. I'm Nolan Rempel. Today alongside me in the commentary box is Tyler Maxson. Hula Louise once again behind the cameras, and welcome one and all to Brands Hatch. We have made the leap across the pond to England for one of the most iconic racing circuits in the world. Not terribly hot on the track today. 79 degrees Fahrenheit is the track temperature, 26 degrees centigrade, 72 degrees Fahrenheit in the air. So it is a little warm down there on the race surface right now, Tyler. And no doubt, we're about to get set to go racing for another 15 exciting laps at this beautiful circuit here in Kent. Qualifying currently underway. We've got just under 5 minutes remaining.
Just under 5 minutes remaining, and Anthony Catt just took over pole position here. And that's not really too crucial, to be honest, at Brands Hatch, because the Skip Barber cars are on power for so long here. The draft is worth a lot here, so they really are going to have to work that and try and play that to their advantage over the 15 laps.
Absolutely. The biggest drafting point is, of course, off of Surtees and into the Hawthorne Bend down through the Pilgrim's Drop. That is the run between turns 5 and 6. It is the longest straight on the track. That is where we'll be seeing quite a lot of runs coming through. Daniels taking a little bit of an off-track excursion. That lap will likely be invalidated. Daniels trying to charge down Anthony Catt's 38.029, currently 11 thousandths of a second behind, on board with Chris J. Robertson, who is on yet another flying lap. He is sitting down in 3rd place. And so far, your entire top 12 are just about divided by 7/10 of a second. Well, I jumped that up to about 3/4 of a second because Catt has just put in another blister in time, the first 1:37 of this session.
1:37 there for Anthony Catt. He's just ahead on pole position at this point. Just 2/100ths of a second over Daniels. So we're right on board with Robertson here. We'll see if he can go any better on his lap. He's currently sitting just about, just about a 10th actually, behind Anthony Catt. So we'll watch him. He comes out of the final corner now, and as he crosses the line, we'll see what he can do this time. Like you said, the top 12 covered about 7/10ths of a second. That's really close for a top 12, especially in a league this big with 43 cars out on the circuit. There is a lot of drivers taking the grid here at Brands Hatch.
Absolutely. A lot of drivers as normal. 43 currently having set times. I believe he got about 47 in total in this session. Ben Daniels still on his next flyer. This time he has got Simons. He's backing into the grass. So Ben Daniels seems to really be struggling here in these warmer temperatures on the track.
It looks to be as if he is struggling. I mean, some of the drivers, though, that corner is so difficult. I mean, you just pop out the brake a little bit too early and you're out in the grass, or if not in the wall. So it will be something they'll have to keep in mind as the race goes on, is when the tires start to heat up and they start to warm up, you got to kind of brack up those braking points quite a bit, especially on a track this fast, because just going a little bit early can cause some major problems. But they don't really have to worry about the off-track number per se in the race as much as they do in qualifying, because if not, then they won't be able to get their time set.
Absolutely, because of course every incident point in a qualifying session is an instant invalidation of that lap, no matter how small. Even a brush with the wall, that could be, 0 incident points, still counts as getting your lap invalidated. Tom Ward coming across the start-finish line. He's in the 140, so he is definitely not going to be advancing his position from 5th right now. He does have one more shot, though, in this qualifying session to make it work. Rounding down the clock, about 1 minute left in what has been a 20-minute session. Field still looking very tightly. Your top 3 separated by less than a 10th.
Yeah, the top 3 are very close, but that's what a track like this will provide. I mean, it's so high speed. It's really not a very tricky track for a lot of these drivers. They will have hundreds, if not thousands, of laps here, so they will know this place like the back of their hand. And being that this is such a well-known track for these drivers, and these cars are so close in general, that's just going to provide some excellent racing and really close times. And I mean, just right now you can see the top 12 are only separated by 3.5 of a second, and really that's nothing when you think about it. They're running a 1 minute 38 second lap time.
Very much so indeed. Anthony Cat is off of the final corner. He will be able to make it back to the line to start one more lap. Less than 10 seconds to go. Does not improve on that time. It was a 38.006. Daniels is right behind him, though, trying to use that draft how he can. Those tires getting really close to the gravel. And now the times are beginning to cross on down. Sarah Savage is top of the charts, though, with a 1:37.892, blowing that time out of the water by a good 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, that was a very good lap then for Sarah Savage. She knocks Anthony Cat off the top then. And now this is going to be an all-or-nothing lap here for Cat and Daniels. They're both going for that pole position. And this is their only lap to do it. Lear Hughes jumps up into 4th position. Robertson will be down in 5th, Anderson in 6th. That's how they will sit at the moment because there's no one else really behind them that's actually out on the racetrack still setting laps, at least ones that are within striking distance of them. So it's all about Cat and Daniels here to see how they're going to finish out their final lap of qualifying.
Anthony Cat will be the driver to finish first, or at least he should be able to finish it first. Daniels runs wide, and he will not be able to get the lap in today. So Ben Daniels still on a charge. He's into the grass again. That has sealed the deal. Ben Daniels will be stuck down there in 3rd place for now as qualifying winds down. Anthony Cat, it's going to be down to him. Gonna get a good run out of the final corner. Will it be enough, though, to take back pole from Sarah Savage? The answer is going to be no. Sarah Savage, for now, is your pole sitter. Anthony Cat did go top of the charts, though. He's back to the top of the standings.
And that is extremely close there. Just about 0.08 of a second. All that separates them here in qualifying. We got about another 30 seconds until we'll get the gridding process rolling. But we got a long way to go until we actually start this race because you have to do a whole pace lap here at Brands Hatch. So, but that was a really good lap then in the end from Anthony Cat to finally take over that pole position. That was a really good final lap from him. And the times being as close as they are, I'm expecting some really good racing up front.
Going to go right to your starting grid. It is Anthony Cat on pole position. Sarah Savage down there in 2nd place to round off your 1st row. Ben Daniels takes 3rd place with Lear Hughes in 4th. 5th place with Chris J. Robertson. Lee Anderson in 6th. Tom Ward 7th. Matt Cox down in 8th. Peter Cohen and Simon Edwards in row number 5 with S.J. Dunnan and Clark Williams in 11th and 12th. It will be 13th place to go to Mr. Paul F. Grillo, Anthony P.M. Jones in 14th, Chris J. Morris 15th, Andy Witt in 16th, Tony Stack 17th, Adrian Hendy in 18th, Lewis Ward 19th, Matthew Crisp in 20th. The rest of the results are going to come up on your screen. Final thoughts, Tyler, before we go green flag racing.
This is going to be an insane race. Make sure that you are sat down because this is going to be a little bit to take in all at one time, especially for these first few corners where everyone's so close and stacked together. It's only going to cause a lot of chaos and drama, and being with these cars, having the new damage model, drivers will have to keep that in mind. They have had some practice on it. They've had it for some time now, but they still have to be careful because if you make that little bit of contact, then you could be ending your day before it really even gets started. So all these drivers are really going to have to be careful with that here on the opening few corners.
Just waiting on the final few drivers to grid up for us so we can get to racing. It is going to be, once again, Anthony Cat, a driver that has been so fast here in the Monday Night Skippies, and he is definitely going to be the one to watch. Sarah Savage is up very high in 2nd place as well. And Daniels and Lear Hughes, 2 drivers, have been constantly duking it out throughout the series as well, down on the 2nd row. We saw in Montreal the early lap incidents coming very early. We're going to have to see how they'll play it today. The lights are out. We're off and away for 15 laps. Cat manages to cover Sarah Savage, and your top 5, 6, 7 looking to go single file into turn number 1. And Lee Anderson is the one that's going to get muscled wide.
Anderson gets pushed out a little bit wide, but it's a battle for the lead here. Savage down the inside of Anthony Cat. Won't be able to get it done. Cat's going to hold it around the outside. But everyone, like you said, pretty much filing into single file here for the first few corners and except for a few drivers a little bit further back, but really for your entire about top 15 or 20, they're all in one big massive train right now.
We have one car around in the back. It is Paul Smith, RaceSpotTV's own, that has gone around in the back of the field from 30th place. So unfortunate start to Smith's day. He was, of course, the biggest mover at Montreal, and he looks like he'll be on a recovery drive for the rest of today's race. The rest of the field, though, screaming up the hill and around this beautiful, beautiful circuit through Hawthorne, down the Derek Minter Straight, coming up to Westfield now.
As they head through here, it's a very fast corner. You can see everyone kind of struggling there on the cold tires. Sarah Savage really got sideways. That's going to open up the door a little bit. Then for Ben Daniels, Savage wide again, almost into the grass. Just able to save it, though. And Daniels is all over the back of Sarah Savage as she goes off once again. And that's going to cause a few positions lost then, down to 5th place right now. And it's pretty much just going to be, if she can't get back in line, it may just be a big, massive freight train buyer with how long this train is.
Well, Sarah Savage seems to have got it all collected up, so she is going to be back up to pace by the time they finish off lap number 1. Anthony Cat leads her opening lap. Double file down into the first corner. Savage trying to cut down across Matt Cox, who has to jam the brakes to bail out of that attempted overtake. Now it's going to be Cox side by side with Lee Anderson up into turn 2. Tom Ward trying to make something work around the outside.
We're trying it then, and they're still going to be side by side here as they head into Surtees, and he's going to make it work. Then Matt Ward will be up into 6th place, and they're all still staying single file a little bit further back. The 52, Simon Edwards, is having to defend. He's actually going to make it into an attack there on Lee Anderson as they head onto the back straightaway. No one's going to be able to make anything of it, though. And they're all just going to be in one massive train. We'll see if anyone tries anything towards the Hawthorne Bend. But right now up front, Anthony Katz really just starting to pull away with this one.
Side by side, though, down for 4th. Sarah Savage clears Chris J. Robertson. We have cars off behind them, though. It was Peter Cohen to take a big ride through the grass and the sand. They went 3 abreast for a moment as he went off of the circuit. Replay up on your screen for Cohen. Overdrove the exit of the corner, went sideways and wide. Beautifully driven, though, to hang on to that one and keep it out of the wall.
And that was a really big save there for Peter Cohen. That could have ended his race right there, but he was able to hang on to it and keep it out of the wall. And it's very easy just to get that car a little bit too fast into there and then have the rear end snap around on you and put you into the wall. So nice save for him. And he's going to start to make his way back through that traffic when he lost all those positions.
So he's going to continue to try to work his way through Matt Cox. Makes another spot up, got that on the braking zone for turn number 1. Chris J. Robertson tried to fight back, not close enough in the run down to turn number 2. Side by side behind them, S.J. Dunning and Clark Williams having to go.
Yeah, they're really getting into it, and that is Clark Williams very sideways then on the exit of Druids, and not going to be liking that one too much. There's somebody else off wide. That's going to be the number 11. That looks like Adrian Hendy, actually, way off wide. And he's going to stop that car and reset back to the pit lane, so he will be out of today's race.
And the replay up on your screen, there you have it. Adrian Hendy way off of the circuit, and yeah, just pulls to a stop, doesn't hit anything, but does take that car back to the pits. So an interesting development there for the number 11 machine, who will end his day early.
That was kind of a weird incident there. I'm not quite sure exactly what happened because he pretty much just got out onto the grass and just gave up, more or less. He just stopped the car on the exit. So I'm very interested to know what happened with that, as that is the number 98. That's Clark Williams again off the track and sideways. He's going to lose 2 positions there. That's not what you want. Here now on the defensive is Clark Williams. He's trying to defend that 14th place. And right now able to do a pretty good job of it. He's going to hold off Chris Morris for the time being, but the run down to turn 1 could be a different story.
Well, he's got a huge hornet's nest of cars behind him that are all trying to find their way through. Williams hard on defense. Here comes Peter Cohen, who's going to look to the outside, looking to go 3 wide. They're going to be all sorts of sideways to the corner. 1, 2 cars off and into the sand. Cohen is one of them, and Cohen will hang on to the car, keep it going. He's going to have to try the outside of Chris J. Morris. That does not work for him. He's going to run it a little wide. He's going to go on the defense, or on the offensive for turn 3, but he's not able to make anything work.
Yeah, that was really wide for him on the exit of turn number 1, able to keep it together. These drivers seem to do a very good job this race of keeping the car underneath them whenever they get extreme sideways. So very nice job from all those drivers to be able to do that one. But still up front, though, it is Anthony Cat. Actually, I think Ben Daniels has taken over the lead. Yes, he has. Cat's down to second. Daniels is up in the lead on a replay up on your screen here of what happened to Neil Stephenson. Let's see what happened to him going down and towards turn 1.
That hurt to watch. He went clean off the track in a big incident. Paul Smith went into the barriers as well. So Smith, a bunch of drivers having problems. It looked like they were 3 abreast down into the corner. Contact was made. Smith just got loose, and he clobbered the 77 who turned back onto the racing surface out of control, and that will end both of their days very early on. So a big pileup in turn number 1.
Yeah, that was a very large pile up there. I'm not quite sure that Paul Smith could have done anything differently there. I think it was just a case of the wrong place at the wrong time, but unfortunately that'll end 3 drivers' days as it looks. But up front now, it's Ben Daniels who leads by just over a tenth over Anthony Cat. Lear Hughes is down in second. Then it's Sarah Savage and Tom Ward that will round out your top 5. But the train that goes from first all the way back into about 7th, all in this lead train and all with a chance at a victory.
Absolutely, and all it's going to take is one driver to try to make something work, and it won't work out for anybody. It will be Daniels, though, to have that lead. They are approaching lap traffic already. Tim Adcock, who appears to have had some early incidents, is just on the horizon, so not the sight that these lead lap drivers wanted to see. Especially on a track like this, lap traffic can be so pivotal to a race, can be so difficult to work through. Daniels trying to dive it in a little bit tighter, but not able to find a run off of that corner. It's just such a difficult track, especially to find runs on, which is why, acing those apexes must be everything. One driver that didn't ace it, though, was Tom Ward, who went wide, and now he is on the defensive against really not a passing zone for Matt Cox. Ward goes off again. He will hang on to the position somehow.
That was 2 very wide moments there for Tom Ward, maybe taking up a bit of rallycross in his free time, or at least he should, because he'd probably be pretty good at it. But the lead group still staying together, and he's still somehow, Tom Ward has held on to 5th place. So very impressive stuff there for him. He ran wide, I think, 3 corners in succession, all on the back side of the racetrack. But it's going to be challenged here in towards turn number 1 by Matt Cox. He's going to try it around the outside. Cox is going to go wide, and he's going to hold on to that car as well. But that may cause him to lose position here to Robertson, and Robertson will be able to make that position up. He's going to move up into 6th place. Now, I think that's actually, Cox is going under defensive from Simon Edwards.
Simon Edwards looking to make a move. He looked a little brave in the dive bomb up into Druids, and it didn't end up paying off. He wasn't able to get the drive off of the corner, which is so crucial at a track like this. So Edwards going to have to be patient. He's going to have to wait for another attempt. Got Adcock just up front, who is letting your lead field by. Does not want to have any part of this. They almost looked side by side for the lead, though. Anthony Cat trying to desperately fight back against Ben Daniels.
Cat is looking to go on the offensive here for Ben Daniels. This is only lap 6. We still got at the line will be nearly 8. It'll be 8 laps to go whenever they cross the line this time, I believe. So they've still got a lot of this race left to run, and these guys are still going at it here for the lead.
Well, that's one of the beauties of this types of series with these cars. They race so well, and we've seen at Montreal, the long straights, they can really keep a pack together, and they're doing that here today. Cat arcing it in later. He's going to push out a bit wider. Was that enough to get the run? He's got a huge run. Ben Daniels going to look for the move. They're going to be side by side, and the run down to turn number 1, the paddock hill bend. Daniels going to hang on to it. Cat backs off and has to shot. He's trying to go for an over-under, and Cat is going to go up. Will he be able to hang on to the lead is going to be the question. Later on the brakes is Daniels trying to coast it around the outside, but Anthony Cat is going to be your race leader once again And now Daniels trying to go for another cutback into turn 3, but Cat gets down to cover.
Anthony Cat now takes over the lead, and now Ben Daniels has got Lee Hughes all over the back of him. Then look at Tom Ward down the inside of Sarah Savage. He's going to try to go up into the 4th spot here. So that's a pretty good recovery there for Tom Ward. Goes rallycross style just about a lap and a half ago, and is now fighting for 4th place again. So that just kind of showed, I think, how much Ben Daniels was hindering that front group, because he really caught up quick to Tom Ward.
Oh, the draft can help these cars to pull in so much down those long straights. And now they're at a section of the track where you really can only go single file. Ward looking to maybe make another attempt at rallycross. He goes a little bit into the sand, but this section of the track, this second sector, is just so one line. It's so difficult to pass. We've seen so many times, you know, that if you try to pass there, it's usually just going to end badly for everyone. But with the way these guys tend to race each other, especially in the final portions of the race, I wouldn't put it past somebody to make a bit of a brave look up the inside of one of those kinks.
Yeah, it could certainly be a really difficult place to make a pass, but if you can get your nose to the inside, it's really hard for the driver on the outside as well to defend, because once you kind of get about halfway down the inside, then it's just pretty much an easy move at that point, because you'll be able to carry the momentum through, and the guy on the outside will be very tough for them to do that. So, oh, there's a crash in the background. That'll be SJ Dunning and someone else. Let's try and see what happened to these guys. Replay up on your screen.
Oh, that was another 3-wide incident there, Tyler, looking at the turn number 1. It doesn't usually work. The culprits were Dunning, Jones, and Grillo. When 3 abreast, oh, huge jump for Grillo over the top of Dunning, and that sent all of them into the wall. Clark Williams caught up in that as well. So a wild ride for that red 27 machine.
That was a very wild ride indeed, and it was just that little bit of contact is all it takes, and it sends 3 cars flying and another car slightly involved. As we jump back here now to live pictures. Up front, Anthony Cat still leads, and it's Ben Daniels in second. Now the group that was 7 has now whittled down to 6, as they have now dropped Simon Edwards off the rear of that train. But don't count them out for the race win, because these guys start battling and they start getting into it, as it looks like Ward's going to try something on Savage, but they won't be able to get anything done. But as these guys start to battle again, as these two are going to side by side for the lead, Anthony Cat on the inside, Ben Daniels is going to try it around the outside. He won't be able to make anything of it. They're going to drag race down the front straightaway, but this may be a great opportunity for Lear Hughes to get himself up into second place, and I think he's just going to take that if he can get the momentum on the inside, and he will have it down and towards turn 2.
Well, Sarah Savage certainly looking racing. She tried to look 3 wide around the outside. Oh, contact, and big contact. Daniels goes off at Druids. Another big incident that has just taken out one of your contenders for 3rd place. Got completely run over by Tom Ward at the end of the run up to turn 2.
Yeah, just there on the replay, you can see Ward gets into Daniels, and that was really nothing that Daniels could have done about that one. But he's going to lose a lot of positions that I can't get an exact count as we ride on board here with Tom Ward. Let's see exactly what happened. Yeah, he just goes down the inside, makes contact with Daniels, and that is all. And that's pretty much going to end Daniels' day for him. He's way down the order now. It'll be difficult for him to get back up, actually impossible, I think, for him to get back up to the lead train. But now it's Cat and Hughes who are 1 and 2. Sarah Savage actually it is Tom Ward a little bit further back down in 3rd. Then it's Chris Robertson and Sarah Savage who will be in 5th.
So Tom Ward, that car looking more or less clean. So Ward doesn't seem to have picked up a lot of damage from that incident. The question will be, can he reel in Hughes and Cat now? Now it's going to be Lear Hughes, who, as we know from this series, he is definitely one to try to make a move if there is one to be made. And he is reeling in Anthony Cat oh so quickly. Anthony Cat taking a little more of a defensive line and a sweep back to the left to hook it in for the late apex that is Paddock Hill Bend.
Paddock Hill Bend, it's one of the most tricky corners on the racetrack, because if you go a little bit far wide, then you're going to end up in that tire barrier right there on the exit. And then it also leads into probably one of the more crucial hairpins on the racetrack. This that next hairpin of Druids is going to lead you on. It just creates the momentum for this whole next section, which is very important because this corner right here, which I think is the most important hairpin at Surtees, leads you on to the longest straightaway and the best passing opportunity on the racetrack.
Absolutely, and Sarah Savage way in the back, getting really close with both Simon Edwards and Chris J. Robertson. She is really hard on the defensive now. Cuts back and chops the nose of Edwards, so might not be talking about that. Cox looking up the inside, getting racy. Oh, so close. Don't make contact, please. They keep it out of each other. Again, how in the world do you manage to take two cars side by side through a corner that really has never been a passing zone?
Yeah, these drivers definitely showing what you could do here at Brands Hatch, and that's really what you have to do in these Skip Barber cars. You can't wait for an easy pass in these. There really is never an easy pass. You've just got to kind of lick the stamp and send it. If you want to make a pass here, especially at the end of that straightaway, it's very difficult to completely clear the car before you get down into there. And everyone, though, stays in line. No one moving too much here on this lap.
And this fight for the lead has kind of split up a little bit. The two side-by-side action is going to be between Lee Anderson and Matt Cox. Anderson trying the outside of turn one. You can get a better drive, and like I said, oh so difficult is that turn one. You mentioned how it's the most difficult corner on the track. I would argue it's probably one of the most difficult corners that you can try to face, certainly on the service, and maybe even in the motorsport world as a whole. It's right up there in difficulty with stuff like the corkscrew from Laguna Seca. It's just so crucial. You have to get it right. And the way the back of the car can just get so light over there, it sends it around in a heartbeat. And we've already seen that so many times today, how if you go more than too wide, and even with too wide, it usually doesn't work out terribly well.
It certainly doesn't, especially in a car like this where the rear end is also not the most stable, even when you're not going through a corner like that. So in these kind of cars, these drivers are really having to put in the slight corrections to make sure that it still stays in a straight line around that very tough and challenging corner that drops so much in a such short period of time. It's very similar to the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, like you had said, because you're carrying a lot of speed through it, and it's a lot of elevation change at one time, and that can really send the rear end into a very big slide if you're not careful.
It's something that we've seen so many times, and I wouldn't doubt that it'd be the last time you see it in this race. Hughes continuing to try to reel in Anthony Catt. That gap just under 0.4 of a second right now. He closed in to just about 0.3. It's now down to a quarter of a second at the line. So Lear Hughes certainly looking like he wants to go for that lead.
Lear Hughes, I think he's just buying his time at this point. He knows that going on to the last lap, you don't want to be the one leading, because here at this racetrack, the guy who's leading is pretty much in the worst position heading on to the last lap, unless he can get back by if anyone decides to go for it. So I think that Lear Hughes is just kind of biding his time, waiting for that last lap and a good opportunity for him, and then he'll just go by Anthony Catt if he can make it work.
We've already seen, though, it is a difficult track to pass at, too, even with the draft that you can get in the run down the straight. Will Hughes make the look? He is going to make the look. Catt not going to go on the defensive, interestingly enough. Hughes going to go up into the lead for the first time today. Catt tries to sweep it under, but he is not able to get the speed that he needs off of the corner. So Lear Hughes, probably your third or fourth different leader of the day.
Yeah, so Hughes takes the lead over Anthony Catt. I'm just seeing here on my timing screen, someone has had some sort of issue. Bob Boland, he's dropping down the order a little bit. You'll be focusing on your race lead as they head through now underneath the Avedon Bridge, and they will complete another lap here at Brands Hatch, and will head down to 3 to go this time by.
Just 3 laps to go, 3 laps, not the most amount of time to make something work. Time is quickly running out, as it seems to do. It'll be Catt to try to go around the outside of turn 1 in the run-up. They're going to be right wheel to wheel in the run. Catt trying to go over under, just like they've seen before. Nearly runs to the back of Lear Hughes, who's going big on the defensive, but can't get down to cover in time. Catt around the inside of the hairpin. Will he get clear by the exit? No, he won't. Hughes manages to find some extra speed on the exit, And it will be Lear Hughes to try to hang on, and Cat has to back out of that. And now Cat is under attack by Tom Ward, who's trying to go for the lead.
I think Hughes has got the lead, and Ward may just take over
Robertson.
second. That's Robertson almost goes around, and that was not very good there for Chris Robertson. He has a big slide, and that's going to drop him all the way back behind, actually, Simon Edwards. So the front four still going at it there. They're almost going to be 3 wide. Down at the end of the straightaway now, and it's Lear Hughes side by side with Anthony Cat. They're still going to go for it. Tom Ward sitting in the background. He wants to move up into second. Then you have Sarah Savage as well, just sitting back there in fourth. I think just kind of biding a bit of time, trying to find a good opening.
Well, ding, ding, ding. Take the gloves off. Prepare for round 2. Cat gets forced wide by Lear Hughes as they exit that kick, and now down for the second to last corner of the circuit and manages to hang on. So Lear Hughes will have that lead set and done. Tom Ward is going to have the most optimal line he could get through this final corner. Coming around will be 2 to go. So this isn't even the last lap, and they're racing like this with 3 to go. How will this develop when we actually have 1 to go? But now all of that has allowed Hughes to get such a big gap while they're looking to go 3 wide for second, but Sarah Savage backs out of that very wisely, if I may add.
I would certainly agree with that. We've seen how 3 wide ends here multiple times tonight, and it doesn't end nicely. So these guys really playing the smart game here, not taking each other out, but they're still going to be side by side, Will Anthony Cat and Sarah Savage. And then look at who's sitting back there in 5th. That's Simon Edwards. He was nowhere just about at this point in the lap on the previous lap. So right now, Simon Edwards is really in a good position here. He's going to go by Sarah Savage, and actually Savage is going to run through the grass, and we'll get the momentum on the exit.
Well, out of that side-by-side battling in the second sector of the lap is what allowed that back 4 cars to start to close in. Now they're going to go side-by-side. Savage still trying to fend off Edwards, will do so successfully. Now Edwards is under attack by Chris J. Robertson. All the while, Hughes has closed in that gap, so we're definitely going to have a last lap fight in our hands, but Edwards runs into the gravel, still side by side with Robertson as they throttle their way up the hill. Robertson backs out and will give Edwards the line.
Simon Edwards will move up will stay in 5th place, sorry, and now sets his sights back again on Sarah Savage, but the battle for the lead's not done. Tom Ward's trying it here. He wants to go for the lead early here on the final lap and see what he can make work. Final lap starting this time by white flag in the air, and these guys are going to be really battling hard here for the race win. Side by side down in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Tom Ward on the outside, Lee Hughes on the inside. Hughes is going to defend down into Druids, and it's going to be Ward on the outside. All this battling, though, that's just allowed Anthony Cat right back up into it. It's now back to about a 8-car train for the race lead.
So Tom Ward, he'll have the draft, but can Anthony Cat make something work? Remember, Cat was leading a good portion of this race, and he was desperately trying to get his way back into the lead. Can he make anything now? Tom Ward is going to be the one to try and get the run on Lear Hughes as they throttle down the longest straight on the track through the Pilgrim's Drop for the final time today.
And Ward thought about going down the inside. He's now going to have to defend from Anthony Cat. It goes around the outside, then a wheel-to-wheel contact. Cat is way off the circuit. And that's going to be Sarah Savage down the inside, but I think Ward's going to be able to hang on to it. But all this battling is just letting Lear Hughes pull away.
So Lear Hughes going to come through the final series of corners. Ward fighting for his life right now, trying to get out of second place. Savage runs really wide into the grass, comes on and manages to keep the car under control. Tom Ward still trying to get the whatever he can. Savage dropping spot after spot. Cat looking around the outside of Ward, though, to the final corner. Eyes up front, though. Lear Hughes going to come around to the final corner. No competition whatsoever. Lear Hughes, an easy win for him on the last lap. Here comes Ward, though. Anthony Cat does not have the speed he needs to pick off second place. He's going to have to settle for third. Tom Ward takes the second podium spot. And Anthony Cat goes for a slide into the gravel just past the start-finish line. What a thrilling last lap battle here at Brands Hatch.
That was an incredible last lap then from those drivers. Really no contact except for the little bit between Ward and Cat, but other than that, they kept it clean all the way through this one, and I was very impressed with that because with how hard these drivers were racing, I was expecting the last lap to end in carnage at least for a few drivers.
Oh, I thought so too, especially when Simon Edwards got run wide off of the track. That was the most shocking part. Still got battles on your screen though. This is for 25th. Holy cow, John McGovern, where did you come from? He's going to try to pull around Steve Lowe. So they're still duking it out big in the rundown, and it'll be McGovern to actually pick up 25th place away in the final corner. It was actually Steve Lowe that made the look around the outside of McGovern, but that in itself, so the battle's certainly not ending despite the checkered flag being flown.
Yeah, battle's certainly not ending as we now wait for a few drivers to go ahead and finish out. The race results are up on your screen, and it's Lear Hughes who took the win there by 0.7 of a second over Tom Ward. Anthony Catt comes home in third, then Simon Edwards in fourth. Chris J. Robertson will be down in fifth, Matt Cox in sixth, Sarah Savage in seventh, Lee Anderson eighth, Ben Daniels in ninth, and Andy Witt will round out the top 10.
Looking down to 11th place, it is going to be Clark Williams, Stephen Bird in 12th, Chris J. Morris took it in 13th, Dave Kirkman in 14th, Peter Cohen unfortunately dropped 6 spots, he'll finish 15th, Jack Knight in 16th, Lewis Ward in 17th, Liam Carr 18th, Bob Boland in 19th, Matthew Crisp down in 20th place. We do have a single driver right now who we are going to drag up and into the commentary booth, Chris J. Robertson, coming home in 5th place. Chris, what an intense final battle that was. The results are just continuing to run through on your screen.
Hey guys, yeah, well, my heart's still racing from that one, to be honest. I don't even know where to start. There was just 3 wide for about 4 laps in a row, that felt like, so really chaos there. My goal was just to get a top 5 in Monday Night Skippys again. It's been a couple seasons for that, so goal achieved. Now we have to move on and look forward to the next race and hopefully look to podium and maybe even win one of these things. Well done to the winners. They've really been impressive in this race.
Oh, absolutely. It was a very thrilling battle, to say the least, and you saw Simon Edwards trying to throttle up, and he got run off the track entirely in the second sector of the course. And, you know, kind of sitting back there in 5th place trying to watch this all unfold. What were your thoughts? Were you more thinking how to avoid a crash if and when it would happen, or were you more trying to think, how could I use this to capitalize and try to go for any spot that I can?
Well, exactly. We knew there was going to be some contact along the way. Brands has shown that all throughout the officials this week, that there's always been some kind of contact. And I think even between the top guys, there was contact between Tom and Sarah at one point. I think Ben was flying in the air at one point. Sarah was completely sideways on that last lap. And yeah, I don't know where Simon went. He kind of just ran off the track, like you said. I was sitting in 6th just hoping to pick up a freebie, to be honest, and it kind of happened. So lucky there in the end.
And going forward, you might have to remind me of what race is up next, but I believe it's going to be one that's going to be a bit shorter than this one. So it is going to be a very, intense run for, you and the Monday Night Skippys and everybody else trying to go into the next race. So you think you could carry some of this momentum over into next week?
I think Tsukuba's going to be interesting. This again comes down to qualifying, and that's probably my weakest spot at the moment. I seem to be what they call a Sunday man, so we'll see. I've got to improve on my qualifying, but to be honest, I'm just thankful to be in a great team, Team Torpedo. They've really helped propel me and support me through everything that we've done in the team so far, and this year we got 6 cars on track, and as we can see, Lear's gone and won for us, so yeah, let's see what next week brings, but we should have a Torpedo on the top.
And before we let you go then, is there anybody else that you would like to shout out for us today? Any sponsors or teammates you want to shout out to that you haven't done so already?
I just want to thank my mum and dad, my engineer, all my fans at home. They're obviously watching. No, I'm kidding. No, just thanks to everybody that supports the stream. Thanks to you guys for putting on an excellent broadcast. And yeah, thank you to Alan for hosting.
And that was your 5th place winner, 5th place finisher, Chris J. Robertson, to come home with his top 5 finish today after a very intense battle, to say the very least. We are now going to bring in one Simon Edwards, finishing down in 4th place. Tyler is standing by with him.
That was an interesting race for you, Simon, I think, to say the least. At one point, just about 2 laps to go, you were way off the back of the train, and you figured out a way to pull yourself all the way back up to the front 4. Talk us through that race a little bit.
Yeah, that was stressful. I don't normally get stressed in a race, but I was feeling it there. Yeah, I know I had the pace of anybody in the race, so all I needed to do was wait, really. As soon as they were attacking each other at the front, they were just chipping away, and I was chipping away at them, in effect, if you know what I mean. And the guys behind me realised that and stayed behind me in the last 4 or 5 laps, just waiting for the pack to come back to us rather than us going forward to it. But yeah, once you get the pack really, really tight, it's really needs cooperation not to crash into each other. And we got a lot of that. I think I only saw the one crash in front of me. So I'm pleased coming back from such a bad qualifying after I got hit in the middle of the qualifying and didn't get any more laps in towards the end. So to come back to 4th is a pretty good result for me, I think.
And yeah, obviously a 6-spot gain for you. You started down in 10th, you ended up in 4th. We head to Scuba next week. That's a very interesting circuit, especially to race these cars on. And whenever you add in the fact that we have nearly 50 drivers out there, it's going to be a very packed racetrack. So kind of tell me what you're expecting for that one.
It's a pretty simple track, but it's quite technical. So you might find the pack splits a bit better than it does at Brands Hatch, where you're almost got a continuous tow around the whole track. But there's a bit more technical sections to I can't even pronounce it. Pronounce it for me.
Yeah,
yeah, you can't now either. So I don't really like the circuit, but it's okay to race on, and it's a newer circuit, so it's a bit prettier.
Yeah, certainly is indeed. Well, congratulations on your 4th place finish. Who gets it done for you?
My sponsor that I've been getting, that you should be able to see on the car now, which is Masternaut, for paying towards the hobby, if you like, and Father Christmas as well. I'll thank Father Christmas.
Well, congratulations again on your 4th place finish, Simon, and we hope to speak with you again next week from Scuba.
Thank you.
Well, that was, it certainly was an interesting race, to say the very least. It doesn't look like we're going to have anybody else to come and join us today. So, Tyler, your final thoughts on how this race went before we close things off?
I think I want to come back again next week because this was some very, very exciting racing. I mean, this is probably the most action-packed 15 laps I've ever seen at Brands Hatch. This is a very good little race here today that we had. Everything was so exciting up at the front, and really excited to see what Scuba brings.
Well, that is definitely safe to say the least, and it is a miracle what 43 cars or 45 around Brands Hatch can accomplish. And on that note, we are going to have to say goodbye from the RaceSpotTV for the final time of 2019. Once again, it has been Nolan Rempel with Tyler Maxson. Hugo Louise, as always, doing a fantastic job behind the scenes. Thank you for joining us once again today. We'll see you all next time. Have a happy, happy New Year.